Hey guys, this is Ashley with Baby Wearing International of Knoxville, and I'm going to show you front wrap cross carry with a newborn. This is a very basic, most often used front carry, especially for little babies. I'm going to show you how to do it what we call semi-poppable. So I'm going to get the wrap partially wrapped onto my body and then grab up my baby. So this is a great way if you're not comfortable wrapping yet, you feel like you're not having to hold a wrap and hold your baby and mess with it. You can get it on there securely and then slide your baby in and not feel like you have to hold on to them too much. So I'm using a size 6 wrap. This is pretty much my base size. It's a little bit long for me, but depending on your size, you could do a 5 or a 5, 6, or 7 is usually about a base size for most people. So I'm going to start with the middle marker, the middle of my body. And I like to pin the middle marker underneath my chin so that way it stays center and it doesn't shift while I'm pulling my straps across. And then I'm going to reach behind me, cross this first side over onto the shoulder, making sure that it doesn't get twisted. And then reaching behind me with the opposite hand, pulling it over the other shoulder, making sure again it doesn't get twisted. Okay. My middle marker is still at the middle of my chest. Okay. And since we're wrapping a newborn, we want to have most of the slack out of the wrap before we put him in there because he's not very big at all. You can do their seat one of two ways. You can put them in a pouch with their legs in if they're still really curled up, like in that little ball from when they were inside your body. And for that you could actually fold the wrap in half, or you can just bring this inside bottom rail up to create a pouch to pop him into. But I'm going to show you how to wrap him with his legs out. That is actually recommended to do legs out from birth, just so that it doesn't put any unnecessary strain on hips or ankles or anything like that. If you really can't get their legs out, they're still going to not truly have their legs out because their legs are so teeny tiny and so squished. But we're going to do our best. So anyway, I have this bottom panel pretty tight to my body, and I have just enough room in the top to slide him down in there. Straps up on my shoulders like a backpack, and I'm going to grab my baby. This is Zion. He's 5 days old. Can you say hi? And he loves to snuggle. Alright, so I'm going to put him up on my shoulder like I'm burping him. Get him nice and high on my shoulder. And then what I'm going to do is reach my opposite hand through this panel of fabric. I'm going to grab his little feet and booty so I can guide him down as I'm pulling up the wrap on his back. Make sure his little hands are in there, and we want to get him in that position. You can see how he just kind of slid since I had tightened that fabric up. He just kind of slid into that spot. Now just to free up his legs, I'm just kind of going to pull that fabric. I'm not really necessarily creating a true seat because he's so tiny. I'm just making sure that that bottom rail is snug across his legs and underneath his bottom. I want to make sure that he's high enough to kiss and his chest or his head is kind of resting on my chest. I like to have him off to the side a little bit to make sure that I can see his face and his airway is open. And then from here we're just going to tighten up. So while I'm holding on to him on this side, he's a little offset, I'm going to start pulling out, and you can see it's nice to have a striped wrap or rainbow wrap because you can see where it needs to be tightened. So I'm just going to I pulled out a lot of slack there, and I'm doing what they call strand by strand, where I'm holding it gathered in my hand and bunching it as we go to pull out all of that slack. So he's really nice and secure. And then I'm going to hold on to this side while I hold on to his bottom. If you feel like you can't really do that, you can actually pin this side in between your knees as well, but I find it's easy with a baby this small to just hold on to his bottom and his wrap. He's in there pretty tight, so I don't need to hold his weight too much. So anyway, and then I'm going to pull, I kind of pull up and out as I'm pulling the slack out, and I'm pulling it all the way across the width of the wrap. You can see it's really nice and smooth. There's no slack anywhere. This is up across his back. He's well supported. Alright, and then from here, I'm going to cross these underneath his bottom and tie off behind me. This is where you can't really, you can't at 5 days really cross the fabric over his legs, because the fabric is wider than his legs even are. They're teeny tiny. So he's tied off, but it's still kind of crossed underneath his bottom. Now if I wanted a little more support, I could spread this across his back. Sometimes you may find after you spread it that you need to retie it, just to make sure there's no slack. But with a baby this little, I don't always find that I need to spread the fabric out. Some people just like to do that. But I get really hot immediately postpartum, so I prefer to have less fabric. And I just keep that nice and spread out, and he's in his little pouch. One thing I like to do with my shoulders personally is I kind of pull this down and then spread it or sandwich it back up on top of itself. And that just helps keep it from falling down on my shoulders. It's kind of less for me to deal with. So anyway, this is front wrap cross carry in a size 6 woven wrap with a 5-day-old baby who is very happy where he is right now. Thank you.